So in the previous class, we were discussing about the other types of primary glomerulonephritis. We'll continue that. We'll finish all the types of primary glomerulonephritis. Then we'll look at some of the secondary ones. Now, one second. Yeah. So the last one that we looked at yesterday was MPGN, membranoproliferative glomerulonephritis. Today we'll start off with focal proliferative glomerulonephritis. फोकल ग्लोमेरुलोनेफ्राइटिस भी बोलते हैं इसको या फोकल proliferative glomerulonephritis भी बोलते हैं. Okay, it's also called focal. Now, इसमें what happens is the main pathological changes will occur in certain number of glomeruli. It will not occur in all of the glomeruli, hence the name focal. So, in the glomeruli itself, in the what do you call in the kidney, only a few glomeruli will get affected. So, there is focal type of damage. Okay, one or two lobules of the affected glomeruli uh, are normal, some are what do you call, some are affected, some are normal. So there is only very selective kind of damage in focal proliferative glomerulonephritis, and you will see that certain segments of that glomeruli are getting affected as well. So if you take the whole of the kidney, out of the whole of the kidney, only few glomeruli are getting affected, and in those affected glomeruli as well, only few segments are getting affected. ठीक है, तो you will see focal and segmental proliferation. Specifically, you will see mesangial deposits inside the mesangium. You will see a lot of deposition of IgA, immunoglobulin A. You will see C3 protein, fibrin getting deposited in the mesangium, making it more thicker. Okay, the specific clinical symptoms that will occur with these will include hematuria. The patient might have moderate proteinuria as well. So there will be selective and focal, selective, focal, and segmental proliferation of mesangium. Okay, so inside the mesangium, you will start seeing deposits in selective locations. Now, there's no exact way to predict where it will occur, but what you see is that it is occurring in certain spots. Okay, mainly involves IgA and C3 protein, sometimes even fibrin. Main clinical features will be hematuria and sometimes mild proteinuria. Okay. Then the next type of glomerulonephritis, we have focal segmental glomerulonephritis. ठीक है, इसको focal sclerosis भी बोलते हैं. It is also called FSGS. ठीक है. Now in this what happens is there are focal and segmental sclerosing damage occurring. So focal segmental, sorry, this is not glomerulonephritis, this is glomerulosclerosis. Focal segmental glomerulosclerosis, right? So इसको FSGS बोलते हैं because of that. FSGS. Now इसमें क्या होता, there is sclerosis and hyalinosis. So hyaline deposition and sclerosis of certain glomeruli, not of all glomeruli. Some of the glomeruli will undergo sclerosis, hardening, and their tuft will also undergo hardening. Okay, some of them will be normal, some of them will get affected. That is why it is focal and segmental. Now this condition FSGS is responsible for at least 1/3 of all the cases of nephrotic syndrome. So if you take 100 patients who have nephrotic syndrome, at least 30 of them or 33 of them will have had development of nephrotic syndrome from FSGS. So they have an FSGS which is developing into nephrotic syndrome, or it is presenting as nephrotic syndrome. You will see regions where there is sclerosis and there is hyalinosis occurring. Hallmark features of FSGS is that you will see podocyte damage. Okay, the patient while might have what do you call injury to their visceral epithelium, essentially to their podocyte, and because of injury to the podocyte, their function will be disrupted. As its function is being disrupted, the whole of the neuron will be lost. Essentially, that neuron's function is being lost. ठीक है. So once again, focal segmental glomerulosclerosis में there is hyalinosis and sclerosis um, of certain nephrons or certain glomeruli, and those glomeruli which are getting affected, in them you will see that the podocytes of those glomeruli are getting severely affected, they are getting disrupted, they are getting damaged. As this disruption occurs, it will lead to nephron loss. Whichever nephron that podocyte is attached to, that will be lost. Essentially its function is being lost. Okay, that is focal segmental glomerulosclerosis. Now the clinical features that you see in this scenario will be the patient will have nephrotic syndrome, and they will also have heavy proteinuria. Okay, so they'll lose a lot of proteins in their urine. They will have nephrotic syndrome. Certain patients also develop hematuria along with hypertension. Okay, so there is nephrotic syndrome, there is heavy proteinuria, hematuria, and hypertension, all of them. Okay, so that is the second type of focal segmental glomerulosclerosis. Then there is something called IgA nephropathy. It's also called Berger's disease. That is not burger, that is pronounced Berger. Okay, it's called Berger's disease. Now IgA nephropathy में क्या होता है, the patient will have recurrent hematuria. They will have mild proteinuria, but they will have recurrent hematuria. This is mainly occurring because there is deposition of IgA, so that is why it is called IgA nephropathy. There is deposition of immunoglobulin A in the mesangium of the patient. Okay, in several mesangium there is glomerulopathy, there is damage to the glomeruli. This damage to the glomeruli is occurring because immunoglobulin A is getting aggregated, it is getting deposited in the patient's mesangium. More often than not, it is not known how it is occurring. IgA nephropathy जो है उसका exact cause is unknown. We do not know how it is occurring. It is idiopathic. Sometimes it is associated with a chronic inflammatory condition. Okay, some other body system is having a chronic inflammatory condition. For example, the patient might have pneumonitis, Sjogren's disease, as in any autoimmune condition hai, yeah, the patient might have chronic liver disease, the patient might have leprosy. So any autoimmune disease where there is a lot of inflammation, वहां से भी there is a chance that IgA nephropathy can occur, but it is not sure shot. ऐसा नहीं है कि उनको ये inflammatory damage हुआ तो it will occur. ठीक है, there might be a chance. More often than not, it is idiopathic. You do not know the cause of this disease. Okay. Clinical features. This more commonly occurs in children and young adults. More common in children and young adults. So teens, late teens, and even sometimes early 20s. Okay. There will be recurrent bouts of hematuria. There will be a lot of mucosal inflammation, and that leads to recurrent bouts of hematuria. So the patient will have recurrent hematuria because of it. They might have mild proteinuria. Occasionally, the patient might develop nephrotic syndrome. Not always, but sometimes. Then coming to the final type of glomerulonephritis, we have chronic glomerulonephritis. Now, this is also called end-stage kidney disease or end-stage renal disease. ESRD या ESKD भी बोलते हैं इसको. End-stage renal disease or end-stage kidney disease. Now, this is the final stage of all glomerular diseases. Now, there are several conditions that can lead to chronic glomerulonephritis, but in 90% of the cases, if it is developing from glomerulonephritis, it is coming from RPGN, rapidly progressive glomerulonephritis. They're developing into this thing. So, there is a 50% chance that membranous से हो सकता. ठीक है. Anyway, so 90% का मतलब ये है कि not 90% of chronic glomerulonephritis patients will develop from RPGN. It means that 90% of patients who have RPGN will develop chronic. ठीक है, तो that is how you got the other 50%. If a patient has RPGN, there is a 90% chance that they will develop chronic. अगर membranous type of है, membranous glomerulonephritis है तो 50% चांस है. मेम्ब्रेन और प्रोलिफरेटिव है तो 50% चांस है. IgA nephropathy है तो 40% चांस है, so on and so forth. Now in 20% of cases, so 80% of the times we know the cause, in the sense that the patient will have some or the other type of glomerulonephritis, and that is developing into chronic glomerulonephritis. But 20% of cases of chronic glomerulonephritis occurs idiopathically, in the sense the patient will not have any prior damage to their kidneys. Okay, suddenly out of nowhere they will develop chronic glomerulonephritis. So there is idiopathic nephropathy associated in 20% of patients who have chronic glomerulonephritis. Okay, specifically what happens in this is the patient's kidney will become very very small, it will become contracted. You will see that the cortical surface will become very granular, the number of glomeruli will decrease significantly, you will see a lot of damage occurring in your kidney. ठीक है, and these patients generally will need dialysis. ठीक है, it is very hard to stay without dialysis, and even when they have patients who are on dialysis, they might have cystic disease, they might develop adenomas, they might develop adenocarcinomas. There'll be a lot of damage occurring to their kidneys. If we talk about the clinical features that occur in this disease, most of the patients are adults. ठीक है, full blown adults में ही होता है ये chronic glomerulonephritis. The clinical symptoms that the patients will show is hypertension. Patients might have uremia. Now, uremia itself is a syndrome. There will be several conditions associated with uremia. अगर patient को uremia है, इसका मतलब ये है the patient will have metabolic acidosis. They will have what do you call hyperuricemia, increased amount of uric acid in their blood. They will have sodium water imbalance. Essentially, sodium and water will be retained inside their body, which can cause hypovolemia. Sorry, hypervolemia. It can cause congestive heart disease, and because of uremia they can develop hyperkalemia as well. The amount of potassium that is being excreted out of your body, that will decrease. So what will happen is potassium will start being stored inside your body, and that can lead to arrhythmias, it can lead to weakness. So once again, uremia is associated with four other conditions. There is metabolic acidosis, there might be hyperkalemia. हाइपरकलीमिया हुआ पेशेंट को तो वीकनेस एंड अरिथमिया हो सकता. There are others as well associated with hyperkalemia. There might be sodium and water retention. Sodium and water retention. That can be problematic in patients who have, or it can cause patients to develop congestive heart disease, or it can congestive heart failure. It can cause patients to develop hypervolemia as well, and there will be hyperuricemia, increased uric acid levels in their blood. So all of this will be associated with patients who have chronic glomerulonephritis or end-stage renal disease. Renal function will get completely deteriorated, and patients generally die if they are not given renal transplant. A renal transplant is a must in chronic glomerulonephritis. अगर renal transplant नहीं मिल रहा उनको, there is a good chance that the patient will die. Okay. So those are all the types of primary glomerulonephritis. Now, coming to, once again, I will tell you, in the textbook that you read, whatever pathology textbook that you read, glomerulonephritis in, I would suggest that you keep it brief. ठीक है, हर एक टाइप जो है, प्राइमरी टाइप या सेकेंडरी टाइप, whatever you are reading, try to keep minimal important information. See, clinical features आना, basic pathological changes आना, and what is the name. ठीक है, that's it. You don't need to go into a lot of detail. Maybe if types are present, just the names of the types. Okay, one line about what that type is. If you go into unnecessary detail, glomerulonephritis itself will take some 10-12 pages. To be way too vast. ठीक है, तो उतना जरूरत नहीं है आपके लेवल पे. Now coming to secondary glomerulonephritis. Now, as the name suggests, primary glomerulonephritis was occurring directly. Secondary glomerulonephritis is occurring because of some other condition. So the patient has some problem, and that is eventually developing into glomerulonephritis, or that is causing glomerulonephritis. Okay? It might be a systemic or hereditary disease, or any other problem that is affecting the glomeruli, secondarily affecting the glomeruli, causing the patient to develop glomerulonephritis. So we will be discussing two conditions which can cause secondary glomerulonephritis. The first is lupus. Okay? Lupus is the full form of lupus, or the full name of lupus is SLE, systemic lupus erythematosus. Now this is a autoimmune disease, ठीक है, इसको SLE भी बोलते हैं. I'm not going to into detail what lupus will be and what will happen, but essentially there'll be two cardinal features. Specifically, if a patient is having systemic lupus erythematosus and they develop renal manifestations. So here we are not talking about lupus. That is not currently the situation. We are talking about what will happen if there is renal manifestation in lupus. In the sense, the patient already has lupus and they are developing kidney symptoms. Okay. So if they are developing renal symptoms, there will be two cardinal signs. Okay? Two very important signs in patients who develop renal manifestations. First is proteinuria. Okay? And then is hematuria. So the patient already has SLE. They are suffering from lupus, and they start presenting proteinuria. They will start seeing proteins in their urine, maybe mild, sometimes maybe even heavy proteinuria, selective or non-selective, and they are developing blood in their urine. They are presenting with blood in their urine, hematuria. Now if these two present along with the symptoms of SLE, that is when that is when you confirm that the patient is having secondary manifestations or renal manifestations of SLE. Now, the pathological changes according to WHO are divided into six different categories. Okay? There are six classes in which lupus nephritis is categorized. So, depending on what type of renal lesions occur, you will have six types. Again, I'm going to very briefly cover all of them. We have class 1, which is called minimal lesions. Okay. इसमें, as the name suggests, there is minimal. These cases generally do not show any abnormality. They get not severe abnormality at least. And if you examine the patient's what do you call kidney, if you perform biopsy and observe it under a microscope, you will see that there will be deposits in the mesangium. Mesangium will generally have um, uh, IgG bodies and it will have C3, but it will not cause huge damages. There will be some lesions, there will be some damage, but not significant enough where the patient is in a very critical condition. Okay, that is the most mild type of problem. Then there is class 2, इसको बोलते हैं mesangial lupus nephritis. Now, in this condition, the patient has mild clinical symptoms. Okay. Generally, what happens is there is an increase in the number of mesangial cells. There will be a little bit of proliferation of cells. Mesangial matrix will proliferate. You will start seeing granular deposits. So inside the mesangium, you will see granules of immunoglobulin A, immunoglobulin G. Sometimes you'll see IgM as well. You might see deposits of C3 protein. Okay, slightly more severe than the minimal lesions. And you will see mild clinical symptoms as well, clinical manifestations. So mild proteinuria and mild this thing hematuria. And keep another thing in mind, sometimes along with proteinuria and hematuria, the patients might also show hypertension. They might be urinary sediments. You might find fatty cell casts. You might see RBC casts in their urine. So थोड़े थोड़े छोटे छोटे symptoms भी दिखते हैं other than proteinuria and this thing hematuria. Even though those two are very important, अगर proteinuria and hematuria है, then you can generally confirm that the patient is having renal manifestations. But other than that, the patient can show hypertension and casts of different kind, RBC casts or fat casts, leukocyte casts. You might find all of these in urinary sediments, okay, inside the urine. Now the third one, class 3, will be focal segmental lupus nephritis. Now, this is characterized by focal and segmental proliferation. So again, just like focal segmental GN, isme there are a few glomeruli which are getting affected, and only a few segments of those glomeruli are getting affected. Okay, there will be proliferation of endothelial cells, mesangial cells, and you will see macrophages entering into that area. A lot of macrophages start coming into that area, and they will start proliferating. That you sometimes even see neutrophils coming into that area in focal segmental lupus nephritis. And these deposits, there will be deposits in those glomeruli, okay, subendothelial and subepithelial deposits, and these deposits are specifically IgG. Sometimes it might be IgM, sometimes it might be IgA as well, but mostly it is IgG type of deposits. So as you can understand, most of glomerulonephritis is also associated with your immunity. Okay, there is some sort of inflammatory damage, and as inflammatory damage occurs, you will see inflammatory cells getting involved, and you will see antibodies getting involved. That is what is causing glomerular damage. Okay, in most of the glomerular nephritis, most types of glomerulonephritis. Then coming to class 4, this will be diffuse proliferative. Diffuse proliferative. So I'll just write LN, lupus nephritis. Okay. This is the most common type of lupus nephritis. Now, out of all the types of lupus nephritis, diffuse proliferative is the most common type, and all the morphological manifestations of lupus are present in this, and they are in advanced form. So you will see advanced type of disease. You will see a lot of proliferation in this. You will see a lot of damage. You will see a lot of deposits, dense deposits in the mesangium. Okay, both subendothelium and mesangial deposits will be present. Now, again, the deposits are IgA, sometimes IgG or IgM as well. Then we have class 5. This is membranous lupus nephritis. Now, this will resemble your idiopathic membranous glomerulonephritis. Membranous glomerulonephritis कैसा था वैसा ही दिखा. So you will have diffuse thickening of capillary wall. ठीक है, and you will start seeing subendothelial deposits in this. Immune complexes के deposits दिखने लगते हैं, IgG, IgM, and all of that. Finally, class 6. This is sclerosing lupus nephritis. Now, this is equivalent to end-stage kidney disease. Okay, this is the last type of damage, and this is the worst type of damage that will occur in SLE, renal manifestations of SLE, and this is very close to chronic glomerulonephritis. The patient will here again need a kidney transplant. Okay, so if you're not able to control the damage in the first to fifth class, it will lead to sixth class ultimately. Sometimes there are patients who would directly develop sixth class as well. You cannot do much about their kidneys. You just have to find a donor and replace it. So that was glomerulonephritis because of lupus. Then we have glomerulonephritis because of diabetes. ठीक है, इसको डायबिटीज नेफ्रोपैथी, डायबिटिक नेफ्रोपैथी भी बोलते हैं. So this is fairly common in India, especially because patients of diabetes are very common in India. Diabetes से बहुत सारे complications होते हैं. This is one such complication. ठीक है. The previous one was also a complication. It is a complication of lupus. Diabetes से retinopathy हो सकता, nephropathy हो सकता, and neuropathy भी हो सकता. बहुत common रहते हैं. ठीक है. Kidney damage, damage to your retina, and damage to your peripheral neurons. ठीक है. That is why patients who have diabetes, over time, if it is not controlled, their glycemic level is not controlled, they will start to lose their sight. Okay, they might develop cataract very early, or their kidney function will get severely disrupted. They might have tingling sensation in their extremities, okay, or they might lose sensation, proper sensation in their extremities. All of that indicates neuronal damage. It indicates kidney damage, and it also indicates retinal damage. Okay, jidhar bhi jaisa ho raha, depending on that, they will show those symptoms. Now, renal involvement is, as I told you, one of the most important complications of diabetes mellitus, and you will see a lot of clinical syndromes that are associated with this. The patients generally have proteinuria, and that too, it is asymptomatic kind of proteinuria. So there will not be clinical symptoms as such, but you will see proteinuria. Asymptomatic proteinuria. You might see nephrotic syndrome. Some patients will have progressive renal failure. And hypertension. These four are generally present in patients who have diabetic nephropathy. They'll develop asymptomatic proteinuria, they will have nephrotic syndrome, they'll develop progressive renal failure, and so progressively their renal function will start getting deteriorated, and they'll develop hypertension. Now, the pathological changes or the types of lesions, the type of damage that occurs in a diabetic nephropathy can be categorized into four types. Okay? The first type is diffuse glomerulosclerosis. Sclerosis. Okay. In this, there are glomerular lesions. The patient already has kidney damage, and these are pretty common actually. You will see damage to the glomeruli of these patient's kidney, and you will see a lot of abnormal findings, okay, in the kidney. A lot of abnormal deposition in the kidney. You'll see fibrin caps developing, hyaline droplets developing, a lot of abnormal things coming into that kidney. Okay. Generally, what happens is how this develops is the patient starts off with hyperglycemia. So they are first having hyperglycemia, okay, increased amount of blood sugar. Hyperglycemia will translate into glomerular hypertension, okay, because of increased blood sugar level. Eventually hypertension will occur, kidney starts getting damaged, and you will start seeing hypertension, glomerular hypertension occurs specifically. Glucose will start getting deposited near your glomeruli. You will also see that patients who have severe diabetes, unke urine mein you will start seeing this thing, glucose, okay, their glucose level will increase to such an extent. See, normally your kidneys are very selective. There is only a certain amount of glucose that is allowed to be excreted out of your urine in normal conditions. Okay, last year we studied about this. So kidneys generally make sure that not excessive amount of glucose is lost in your urine. But in certain conditions like diabetes, where glucose level is excessively high, in those conditions glucose will invariably come out in urine. Okay. So the patient is having glomerular hypertension, they will have renal hyperperfusion. Renal hyperperfusion essentially means that more and more amount of constituents will start leaving your kidney. Essentially, the filtration rate of your kidney will decrease. Okay. As the filtration rate of your kidney decreases, ultimately what happens is more and more proteins and important constituents of your blood and so on and so forth will start being lost. Okay. 1 second. So that happens. Then ultimately, because of renal hyperperfusion, the patient will develop 1 second, renal hyperperfusion hota. Then you will have the next stage is hmm, deposition. Deposition of proteins, deposition of various constituents in mesangium. So what is happening is renal perfusion, hyperperfusion is occurring. Most of the important constituents inside your blood is being lost in your urine, and some of these important constituents, because they are very big, they'll start getting stuck in your glomeruli. Okay? These are very big physically. So what will happen is they'll start getting stuck in your glomeruli, and as they start getting stuck in your glomeruli, they will start getting deposited essentially. Deposition of proteins in mesangium. Now, as this deposition occurs, this patient will slowly start having glomerulosclerosis. Okay, there will be hardening in certain areas of their glomeruli. So not all glomeruli, but whichever glomeruli is getting damaged, whichever glomeruli is getting affected, there will be sclerosis in those glomeruli, ultimately leading to renal failure or kidney failure. This is the progression. So it starts off with hyperglycemia. It will lead to glomerular hypertension. It will cause hyperperfusion in your kidneys. From hyperperfusion, the patient's mesangium will start seeing more and more deposition of proteins, which will lead to glomerular sclerosis, ultimately leading to renal failure. This is the progression of how the pathogenesis of lesions will occur in diabetes mellitus, especially diabetic nephropathy. Okay. Now we'll discuss the other three types of damage pathological changes in the next class. Okay, we'll also start pyelonephritis in the next class.